Hey guys, it's Corey from Fat Stacks, and a lot of large corporations and SMEs are activating enterprise apps. In fact, numbers just came out this week from Good Technology showing that there was a 20% increase in enterprise app activations for this second quarter. So all this app talk, enterprise companies know that they need them, but should they build or buy their enterprise sales app? That's what we're going to talk about today, and we're going to do it kind of Monday Night Football style. We're going to do a building versus buying, a showdown. I apologize about how I drew these helmets. I was not an artist, so if we can just kind of get past the helmets and get to this, we're good to go. So, enterprise sales apps, one thing that I definitely want to clarify before we get rolling on this is defining what is an enterprise sales app and what isn't. Definitely what is not are Dropbox, Google Drive, iBooks. These are more of a file sharing app. Yes, they're an app, but very limited as far as what you can do with them from an enterprise standpoint, and especially enabling your team out in the field. So if you're leaning this way, you might want to reconsider. And we have a lot of great information and content on our website, fatstacks.com, that kind of breaks down the differences between a mobile sales app, enterprise sales app, versus a file sharing app. So building versus buying, let's take a look at the pros of building. First off, you have complete control of features and functionality. This is your app, this is your baby, so you get absolute control over everything that goes into it, what it looks like, how it works, the functionality. You're in complete control. And because of that, you get to match it to your sales process. Only you know what your sales process is, and so by building your own enterprise sales app from the ground up, you can tailor it to your exact sales process. And then finally, adding features after launch, because a lot of times once you get your full version of your enterprise sales app in your field team's hands, once they start using it in front of customers, they probably recognize some features that are lacking, and so they'll come back to you and say, hey, can we add features X, Y, and Z? And it'll make the app a lot better. Yeah, no problem. So you go back to your development team, add features X, Y, and Z, relaunch the app, boom, good to go. All the features there that you need. So those are some of the pros, but there's a flip side too, and there's cons. So let's take a look at the other side here. A big con, cost. There's probably some sticker shock when you're looking at this number, but from a lot of companies that we've spoken to that have started or either actually gone through and built their own enterprise sales app, this is kind of the range that we hear is $25,000 to $300,000 to build an enterprise sales app. That's some sticker shock for sure. A lot of that goes into developers, operating system updates, updating the code. So there's a lot of cost that goes into building your own enterprise sales app. Another con, time to launch. Again, something that we've heard a lot from companies that have built their own enterprise sales app is sometimes taking them 6 to even 9 months just to get a version of their enterprise sales app out into the field so their team can beta test it. That's another thing certainly to consider. And then of course bug fixes as well. That's kind of you're dealing with software, so you're going to have bugs. But kind of we put this under the cons because when these bugs come up, you got to go knocking back on your development team's door and get a ticket in for them to go and fix those bugs. So that adds a lot of time and downtime from your reps in the field using that enterprise sales app. So now we're going to flip sides here. We're going to talk about buying your own enterprise sales app. And cost, is definitely a big thing from the building side of things. So let's look at kind of some lower costs, a big pro when it comes to buying enterprise sales app. You're looking at a range from $6,000 to $85,000. A lot better than what we're dealing with down here for sure. One of the things that really comes into play with this cost, especially from a buying side, this is more of a per user cost. So the reason for the $6,000 to $85,000 range, if you're an SME that has 30 regional reps, your cost per license, that number is going to be a lot less than if you're a large global corporation that has hundreds or thousands of reps around the world. You know, your cost is obviously going to go up with the larger number of reps that you have. Time to launch. Because this is an enterprise sales app that is essentially you're just pulling it off the shelf, it's one that's already been implemented, built, constantly updated. The time for it to be completely finished and ready for use for your field team is drastically reduced. A lot of times you can get a finished version ready to go and ready to be used by your field team in about a month. So a lot shorter time compared to 6 to 9 months just to pilot. And then of course, you know, those bug fixes that we were talking about before, because you're working with a vendor that deals with these type of bugs and updates and fixes, this is kind of a second nature thing that really comes to them. And so the possibility for downtime, fixing these bugs, you know, is really not a concern for these groups versus having to knock on a development team that built something not out of the box but from scratch. A little more downtime over here versus from a buying side. And then also some of the pros that we were talking about from a building side too, you know, those apply certainly over here from the buying side as well. Certainly there are many ways that you can customize when you're buying an enterprise sales app, from a branding, features as well. From a feature standpoint, when you're dealing with a vendor that builds multiple enterprise sales apps, you're talking about essentially these groups having just a library of different kinds of features that they can implement into your enterprise sales app that a lot of times development teams that you're calling on to build one from scratch aren't able to implement into your sales app. And then last but not least, the ability to quit whenever. Because you're on this per license deal with these companies, a lot of them are on a per month or an annual basis, how their contracts work. So if for whatever reason the enterprise sales app you go with isn't scalable for your corporation, or just things aren't working out, once that contract's up, you're able to cut ties and kind of start with a new vendor versus, you know, having this one that you've built that's not working and you just kind of want to throw in the digital graveyard and pretend it never existed. So those are some of the differences between building and buying an enterprise sales app. Hope this video was informational for you, and thanks for watching.